I know. I don't want to close. I want to expand. Oh, okay. So I'll trim that. All right. All right. My name is Melita. I'm a Georgetown College grad student studying English as a second language. This is for class EDU 385. It's a linguistics class out of Georgetown College in Georgetown, Kentucky. And my professor is Dr. Christelle Brody. I am talking today with Mr. D. We're going to use Mr. D instead of uh, using his whole name for um, purposes of um, confidentiality. And we're talking about a student that Mr. D and I have been um, looking at some of his work. And um, so anyway, welcome, Mr. D.
Thank you very much.
Um, thank you for helping me on this project. Um, so we were just talking about some of the things that we need to look at when we're trying to help ESL students. So some of the things that you were talking to me about earlier were, would you like to talk about the schema and
Okay, to me, the main thing for the students to trust you or listen to you or really work hard for you is if they really believe that you care about them. And my motto is the student does not care how much I know until he knows how much I care. And I showed that by getting to know them, finding out what schema they bring to the classroom, the background that they have in their country, educational background, political background, family background, because we have so many different students from all over the world, and it makes a difference as to how they perform in the classroom.
yeah, that's something that we were talking about too in school or in our class with the heritage language and culture. And I thought that was great that you know, volunteered that information even before I said anything about it, but it really does help. Um, okay, so as far as our student Jose is concerned, or student A is concerned, um, he's from El Salvador.
Yes,
Um, he's a level
one.
he's a level one. Um, his um, Lost Links test score. Lost Links is what northern Mississippi school district here that we're in um, uses to place students in their English classes. And of course, it goes by the domain speaking, listening, reading, and writing, just like um, just like the WIDA does. So anyway, he's scored what a 6 out of 41 total
Right.
points.
In each domain, he would have automatically be a level one if he has no response. There is no level zero. So even if he responded nothing on any part, he would still be considered level one.
Okay.
And we give this screener when they come to us within a 2-week time period, and he still might be a little timid, a little shy if we haven't spent much time together when I give him the screener. Screener is not as valid or as good as the full test, but that's what we give when they first come to us. Our testing for the year, the state test, is in the month of March.
And you guys just finished that, yeah.
Right.
We did too. Well, they did too at our school.
Right.
Yeah.
The entire Mississippi as a state adapted Lost Links this year as our testing tool.
Okay. Do you still use any of the WIDA?
We've been basically
Can do
trained WIDA
descriptors?
since 2009 with different professional developments from them. I was trained to do CEUs through them, so yes, we still use And they're not in conflict with lots of things. They work together.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That's good to know because that's something that I'm going to use for my capstone project. So this is the WIDA manual that has the can-do descriptors, and the can-do descriptors are for all the different subject matter, math, English, social studies, science, and it goes by their levels, and it goes by their grade levels as well.
One of the biggest things with the classroom teacher who has not had any professional development in ESL instruction is to get them to see the difference between testing them over the material versus testing them over their ability to take a test in English. I know the material, but I can't show you that I know it because I don't know what the words in the question are. I don't know what the words I need to use. I don't know the words for the answer in English. And there is a little app on your phone that you can get called Trivia Crack. Very easy trivia questions, but you can play it in Spanish or French or anything. And just take that if you know a little bit of another language. It's a super simple question, you know it. But there's one word in the question that you don't know. And that causes you to miss the whole thing. And you see what it is, and oh yeah, I knew that. But you didn't know the word to communicate that you knew it. That's one of the biggest things for the classroom teacher.
Okay. All right.
But the can-do descriptors, level 1, draw a picture. Not many words. Certainly not a paragraph.
Yes, true.
No, not a sentence, not a paragraph.
Because they can't yet.
No.
You know, they're still learning and adapting. Okay, so another thing that you had talked to me about was learning styles and having, finding out what your ESL kids' learning style is will better help them and better help you to help them. And other things that you wanted to talk about in the second language acquisition?
If you as the teacher have ever learned a second language, I think you're more in tune with what they're going through and more empathetic with their struggles to learn English. If you're a teacher who has no second language skills whatsoever, it's sort of academic and not personal. But learning a second language is very, very personal. I think Charlemagne said, if you have learned a second language, you have a second soul. And I really like that quote. But learning styles, you just observe the child to see if they're a visual learner, auditory learner, tactile learner. A lot of the students do like to draw and have some skill set in that, and so you can let them draw their answers. There are lots of strategies and techniques for classroom. You can get those from lots of different sources. But I think just finding out what works with you, with this child in particular, would be the best thing.
Okay. So our student A, you had him write a little piece about who he is and where he comes from. And I have that piece right here if you want to look at it real quick. But some of the patterns, and you and I had talked about patterns a little while ago, kind of show up here in his writing. And because he speaks Spanish, some of the things that I noticed, or at least one of the things I noticed, was that he does some code switching here with Unido States. And I thought that was really interesting because that's something that I learned in class. But he actually did it right here. And then other things were capital letters.
Right. In some languages, there are no capital letters.
So in Spanish?
In Spanish, the capitalization rules are not the same.
Okay.
You don't capitalize days of the week or months of the year. You don't capitalize any what we call proper adjectives. You capitalize France, but not French.
Okay.
And so that's going to be something, and if they're very academically inclined, It's just a matter of, okay, I got to remember that when I write it.
Mhm.
But if they're not, what's the word, particular or really going to pay attention or be, what's the word I'm looking for, persnickety about their writing, then they may do it sometimes and sometimes not.
Okay.
And then grammatical patterns in a Latin-based language, you say, I have 15 years, not I am 15 years old,
Mhm. Mhm.
and a few other things that don't translate well,
Yeah.
from the Latin-based language to English.
Mhm.
There are definite patterns in grammar
Okay.
that you work with.
Well, and then that makes sense too because he didn't capitalize the beginning of his sentence, but he capitalized El Salvador,
He didn't capitalize his name.
and he didn't capitalize his name.
Now, see, he should know that. So this would be an indication to me that maybe his educational foundation is not what it needs to be in the ninth grade.
Okay.
Did he go to the eighth grade in his home country? We have a lot of them who have an interrupted education.
Sure.
They went to the sixth grade and then they're out a couple of years and they
Sure.
come here. We need to place them age appropriate, but you have to watch. They're playing catch up. They've got to learn the language and the academics.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
nobody knows academic language until they study it, and so for them it's extra hard.
Mhm.
The native English speakers are learning biology vocabulary as they take class, and these kids have to learn it in. Most of them want to know it in their native tongue and then translate it. And with the science words, it's easier because it is Latin based.
Mhm.
But the other classes not necessarily. But they're doing double time on anything they learn.
Okay. So then, in your estimation, well, I thought he did great, with just beginning in August.
For level 1, yes, he's
And
actually got it organized into sentences. Punctuation, capitalization, not correct. But look what information he
But look what
delivered.
look what he delivered. Sure. And I noticed then with his audio part, he doesn't say his S sounds at the end of his words. Did you want to listen to that?
Okay.